Thank you. Let's give a hand to our... I just want to share a few thoughts with you this morning. So let me start by asking you this. Have you ever fallen in love? You don't have to raise your hand. I would say probably most people here have fallen in love. Now the question, how many times have you fallen in love? You know, when you fall in love, some of us are going to have to go way back in time, but when you fall in love, everything seems brighter, doesn't it? Everything seems more alive. You never notice the way that the trees move or the ways that the birds sing. Suddenly, everything is just more. So we all have an experience of falling in love, or many of us do. And if you haven't, you will. But what about standing in love? Standing on love or standing for love. See, when you fall in love, there's usually one person that gets a lot of attention, right? When you fall in love, that person is in your mind the whole time. Even the way they brush their teeth is cool. But when you stand in love, that broadens everything. The world becomes more beautiful again, but the world also becomes bigger. You don't see a person, you see all that are around you. Your vision widens. That's what it means to stand in love. A couple weeks ago, I was at a gathering for people who care about justice issues, care about training people of faith to be more active politically and socially and morally. So I went to this meeting. I really didn't know who else was going to be there. I was there early. I sat down, and right before the meeting started, plopped right beside me, Reverend Kelvin Sauls. Kelvin is from South Africa. He used to work at Jones Methodist Church in San Francisco. And I knew him from the 90s. And for you young people, the 90s probably seems like ancient history. But for some of us, it wasn't that long ago. It was a very different time than it is today. And Calvin Sauls was one of the only ministers to stand with MCC San Francisco during some of our hardest times. He would show up. He would show up to church. The straight man in a gay church. That didn't happen very often in the 90s. And I hadn't seen him since that time. We have a connection because I lived in South Africa. He sat down and we looked at each other and just hugged each other. And I remember with such fondness his solidarity. It wasn't only a few minutes into the meeting that they asked to turn to their neighbor, our neighbor, and share a story. So he began sharing his faith journey with me. He said he grew up in Johannesburg in the Methodist Church. But the Christianity he was used to, he described as neutral Christianity. Neutral. His church wasn't politically involved or socially involved at all in the issues of apartheid in the 80s when he was growing up as a black South African. But in his teen years, he began to see a different way of Christianity and began to get involved, so much so that he galvanized the youth in his church to go to protest, to protest against apartheid and its terrible laws. And he did it as a Christian, as a youth of faith. And he made his pastor so nervous that his pastor said, the youth group can't be anymore. We're dissolving the youth group. You think that worked? No? No, they just took it off-site into somebody's home. And that grew and grew, and in fact, he was so powerful, Kelvin was. He got the notice of the bishop, and so when it was time to choose one young person from the Methodist Conference to have a scholarship to go and study in the United States, that was Kelvin Saul. And he told me, because I said, you were there when so few people were. He said, let me tell you something, Penny. He said, on the plane over to the United States, I was reading the book of Jeremiah. And I came across that verse in Jeremiah that said, don't let the wise boast in their wisdom, or the wealthy boast in their wealth. But if you're going to boast in this, that you know and understand God. And what do you understand? That everything about God is about inclusive love and about justice. Said, for me, that was it. I determined to live my life boasting that I knew about love and about justice. And that's why I was at MCC in the 90s, when my senior pastor and when the members of my church wouldn't have gone near MCC. Because I served God and I knew who God was, about love and justice. Are you with me so far? What a moment to be reunited with my brother in love and justice. Standing in love. All of us have heard, you youth have heard, the golden rule. I want to suggest that it takes more than the golden rule. What's the golden rule? It takes more than the golden rule to live in love, to stand in love. So I want to tell you this morning about the platinum rule. I'll tell you about that by a story. There were the two friends, Fish and Bird. Now Bird was very chatty. Bird had lots of friends. Bird lived in a tree, in a nest, flew all about, gathering stories from all his friends. And then he'd come back and fly and land and perch on the branch above the small pond where Fish lived, and he would tell Fish all the stories of everything he heard. And Fish would love it, and Fish would listen. But Fish was kind of a quiet sort. Kept to himself a bit in his small pond. Well, on and on the bird would chat to anyone who would listen, and fortunately Fish was a good listener. But then one day, Bird said, Fish, I'm noticing that your pond is getting smaller and smaller. And Fish said, you know what it is? I barely have any room to swim around anymore, and I'm having trouble breathing because my pond is getting smaller and smaller. It's shrinking. Well, Bird loved Fish. He was worried. So Bird flew to his mother and said, Mom, what should I do? He told her about fishing. Mom said, well, what would you do? What would you want somebody to do if you were in that situation? So before she could say anything more, Bird flew off. Well, Bird was a very determined little bird. He flew off and he got all the best materials from all his friends. And he built the best nest in the tallest tree. Made it all perfect. Oh, gosh, he was so proud of himself. Flew back, landed on his perch above the pond and said, Fish, you're not going to believe this. I got a home for you. And Bird, in great detail, described the nest. And when he was all done, just waiting for Fish to say, what about? Fish said, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? you thinking? Well, that was the problem. Bird was thinking like a bird. And Bird realized an embarrassment, but he didn't let that stop him. His big mistake. And so he went. And he went to all his friends again. And he went to his friends in clouds. And he told them about fish, and he told them even what he had done. And he asked for help, and he got it. And so the clouds, his friends, gathered. And they moved above the pond. And they gave of themselves in big, wet raindrops. And they filled the pond. And Fish was able to enjoy his home, full and fresh. And Fish felt loved and seen and heard. The platinum rule is, do unto others as they would have you do unto them. Because standing in love means that we listen, that we don't assume, that we don't place our story on somebody else's, or our experience on somebody else's, but that we stop long enough to have not only empathy, but kinship, and treat people's needs as holy. That's what it means to stand in love. To stand in love also means to work for justice, and here's the thing. Some people think that justice is a zero-sum game. That when others get, others lose. It doesn't need to be that way. When we really pursue justice, which is what love looks like in public, when we pursue justice, we heal our own wounds. Some of us in life have been dealt a bad hand. It's just the truth. The other night I was playing hearts with my friends, a game of hearts. The first night we played, I got dealt a great hand every round. I won the game, say so myself, by over 50 points. 2 nights later, everybody wanted a rematch. Instead of calling it hearts, they wanted to call it get penny, but that's okay. I got dealt a horrible hand every round. And I lost the game by 80 points. We have to make the best of whatever hand we're dealt. And when we are dealt a bad hand, sometimes that leads us to be in solidarity in other ways with people who have also been dealt not a great hand. Are you with me? Amen. So justice, my friends, is seeing and being seen. Father Gregory Boyle, who works with Homeboy Industries, with gangs off the streets in LA, says the slogan, no justice, no peace, which you might hear at rallies, is an okay slogan, but what he says is no kinship, no peace. We are connected. I think youth, that's what you learned in Hawaii, whether it's people from Colorado or people from the islands. We are connected. And we're offered to live in exquisite mutuality with one another and become better versions of ourselves. Because I guarantee you this, youth and adults, if you stand in love, if you pursue justice, you will become a better version of yourself. So CCSM, if we're going to boast, and I boast about you all the time, but if we're going to boast, let's not boast in our beautiful building. Let's not boast in our programs, or boast in how much money we give away, or on and on. But let's boast in this. that we understand that if we're going to be about faith, if we're going to be about God, however you stand God, if we're going to, as we say, gather around the teachings of Jesus, then the only way to do that is to stand in love and to pursue justice. At the end of the day,